Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a man named John. He was 35 years old and worked as a carpenter. Every day, he built tables and chairs for the villagers. John loved his job, but he often felt lonely. He wished he had someone to share his life with. One morning, John went to the market to buy wood. There, he saw a woman selling handmade baskets. Her name was Maria, and she had a kind smile. John bought a basket and started talking to her. They discovered they both loved nature and quiet evenings. From that day, they met often at the market. Weeks passed, and John and Maria became good friends. They shared stories about their lives and dreams. Maria told John she wanted to travel the world one day. John admitted he had never left the village. Maria encouraged him to explore new places. John felt excited, but also a little scared. One day, Maria asked John to join her on a trip to the nearby mountains. John hesitated, but finally agreed. They packed food and water and started their journey early in the morning. The hike was difficult, but the view from the top was breathtaking. John realized he had never seen anything so beautiful. After the trip, John felt a change in himself. He started dreaming of traveling to new places. Maria supported him and taught him how to save money for his trips. John began building smaller furniture to sell in other towns. Slowly, he saved enough to plan his first big journey. Years later, John and Maria traveled to many countries together. They visited mountains, beaches, and big cities. John learned new skills and met people from different cultures. He no longer felt lonely or stuck in one place. Life had become an adventure, and he was grateful for Maria's friendship. John and Maria's travels took them to many amazing places. They visited a small town in Italy known for its delicious food. The people there were warm and welcoming. John tried pasta for the first time and loved it. Maria laughed as he ate 3 plates in one sitting. Next, they traveled to Japan to see the cherry blossoms. The pink flowers covered the trees like a soft blanket. John had never seen anything so peaceful. They sat under the trees and drank tea with locals. John felt his heart fill with joy and calm. In India, they visited a bustling market full of colors and sounds. Maria bought a beautiful scarf, and John tried spicy food for the first time. His mouth burned, but he couldn't stop eating. They laughed and explored the busy streets. John realized how much he loved trying new things. One day, Maria suggested they visit her hometown in Spain. John agreed, excited to see where she grew up. Her family welcomed him with open arms. They cooked a big meal and shared stories late into the night. John felt like he had found a second family. After Spain, they went to Africa to see the wild animals. They rode in a jeep and saw lions, elephants, and giraffes. John was amazed by the beauty of nature. Maria took photos while John simply watched in silence. It was a moment he would never forget. As they traveled, John learned to speak a few words in many languages. He could say hello, thank you, and goodbye in 10 languages. Maria was proud of him. She said it made their trips even more special. John felt proud of himself too. One evening, while sitting by a campfire, John told Maria how grateful he was. He said she had changed his life forever. Maria smiled and said he had changed hers too. They sat in silence, watching the stars. It was a perfect moment. After years of traveling, they decided to return to their village. The villagers were happy to see them and asked many questions. John and Maria shared stories of their adventures. The villagers listened with wide eyes. Some even said they wanted to travel too. John started a small workshop where he taught carpentry to young people. He also shared stories of his travels to inspire them. Maria opened a small shop selling handmade baskets and souvenirs. They both felt happy to be home but missed traveling. One day, a young boy named Tom came to John's workshop. He said he wanted to learn carpentry and travel the world. John smiled and said, "You can do both." He began teaching Tom and told him stories of his adventures. Tom's eyes sparkled with excitement. Maria often visited the workshop to bring food for John and Tom. She loved seeing John teach and share his knowledge. She also started teaching basket weaving to young girls in the village. Together, they were making a difference in their community. Years passed, and John and Maria grew older. They still dreamed of traveling, but were happy with their lives. They had friends, family, and a village that loved them. Every evening, they sat outside and watched the sunset. It was a simple but beautiful life. One day, Tom came to John with a big smile. He said he had saved enough money to travel. John felt proud and gave him advice about where to go. Maria packed a basket full of food for Tom's journey. They both waved as he left the village. Tom returned a year later with many stories to tell. He had visited places John and Maria had never been. They listened with excitement and joy. Tom said he wanted to travel more and learn new skills. John and Maria encouraged him to follow his dreams. As time went on, more young people from the village started traveling. They brought back new ideas and skills. The village began to grow and change. John and Maria felt proud of what they had started. They had inspired a new generation. One evening, John and Maria sat by the river, holding hands. They talked about their lives and all the places they had seen. They felt grateful for every moment. John said, "Life is an adventure, and we've lived it well." Maria nodded and smiled. John and Maria's life in the village continued to be peaceful and fulfilling. Every morning, John would wake up early and walk to his workshop. The sound of hammering and sawing filled the air. Young people gathered around him, eager to learn. John loved teaching them not just carpentry, but also the value of hard work. Maria's basket shop became a popular spot in the village. Women came to buy her baskets and stayed to chat. Maria enjoyed their company and often shared stories of her travels. She also taught them how to weave baskets. The shop became a place of laughter and friendship. One day, a traveler passing through the village stopped at Maria's shop. He admired her baskets and asked where she learned to make them. Maria told him about her life and travels. The traveler was fascinated and asked if he could write about her in his book. Maria agreed, feeling proud. The traveler's book became famous, and people from faraway places started visiting the village. They wanted to meet Maria and see her beautiful baskets. The village became busier and new shops opened. John and Maria were happy to see their home grow and thrive. With the village growing, John decided to build a small school. He wanted children to learn not just carpentry, but also reading and math. Maria supported the idea and helped him plan. Soon, the school was ready, and children filled its rooms. John and Maria felt proud of their new project. The school became a place of learning and creativity. Children learned to read, write, and even make small wooden toys. John often told them stories of his travels to inspire them. Maria taught them how to weave simple baskets. The children loved their teachers and worked hard. One day, a little girl named Lily asked John if she could travel like him. John smiled and said, "Of course, but first you must learn and work hard." Lily nodded and promised to study well. John felt happy knowing he was inspiring the next generation. As the years went by, John and Maria grew older but remained active. They still worked in their workshop and shop, but now they had help from the younger generation. Tom, who had traveled the world, returned to the village and became John's assistant. He helped teach carpentry and manage the school. Maria's shop was now run by a young woman named Sophia. Sophia had learned basket weaving from Maria and had become an expert. Maria often visited the shop to chat with customers and share stories. She felt proud to see her skills being passed on. One evening, John and Maria sat by the river, as they often did. They talked about how much their lives had changed. From being lonely and unsure, they had built a life full of love and purpose. They felt grateful for each other and for their village. John looked at Maria and said, "We've led a good life, haven't we?" Maria smiled and replied, "Yes, and it's not over yet." They both laughed and watched the sun set over the water. It was a moment of peace and happiness. The next day, a group of children from the school came to John's workshop. They had made a small wooden box as a gift for him. John opened it and found a note inside that said, "Thank you for teaching us." He felt tears in his eyes and hugged each child. Maria also received a gift from the women in the village. They had woven a beautiful blanket for her. It was made of many colors, just like the baskets she loved. Maria wrapped the blanket around her shoulders and felt its warmth. She thanked them with a smile. As the years passed, John and Maria became symbols of hope and inspiration in the village. People often came to them for advice or just to talk. They always listened and offered kind words. Their home was always open to anyone in need. One winter, the village faced a difficult time. A heavy storm damaged many houses, and people were struggling. John and Maria immediately started helping. John used his carpentry skills to repair roofs, while Maria organized food and blankets for those in need. The village came together, and soon things were better. After the storm, the villagers held a celebration to thank John and Maria. There was music, dancing, and lots of food. John and Maria sat at the center, surrounded by friends and family. They felt loved and appreciated. That night, as they sat by the fire, John said to Maria, "We've done a lot, but there's still more to do." Maria nodded and replied, "Yes, as long as we can help, we will." They held hands and smiled, knowing their journey was far from over. The next morning, John had an idea. He wanted to build a community center where people could gather, learn, and share. Maria loved the idea and helped him plan. They worked with the villagers to make it happen. Soon, the center was ready, and it became the heart of the village. The community center hosted classes, events, and celebrations. People of all ages came to learn new skills or simply enjoy each other's company. John and Maria often visited, sharing their stories and wisdom. It was a place of joy and connection. One day, a young man named Alex came to the center. He had traveled from a distant city and wanted to learn about village life. John and Maria spent hours talking to him. Alex was inspired by their story and decided to stay in the village for a while. Alex helped John in the workshop and learned carpentry. He also helped Maria in her shop and learned basket weaving. He became like a son to them, and they enjoyed his company. Alex said he wanted to take what he learned back to his city. When it was time for Alex to leave, the village held a small farewell party. John and Maria gave him a handmade basket and a small wooden box. Alex promised to return one day. They hugged him goodbye. Feeling proud of the young man he had become, years passed, and John and Maria grew older, but their spirits remained strong. They continued to inspire and help others, always with a smile. Their lives were full of love, friendship, and purpose. They knew they had made a difference. One quiet evening, as they sat by the river, John turned to Maria and said, "I wouldn't change a thing about our life." Maria smiled and replied, "Neither would I." They sat in silence, watching the stars, grateful for every moment. John and Maria woke up early every morning. They enjoyed the quiet of the village. Birds sang as they prepared for the day. John walked to his workshop with a smile. Maria arranged baskets in her small shop. They were happy with their simple life. John spent hours working on wood. His hands moved with skill and care. He carved, shaped, and polished each piece. The smell of fresh wood filled the air. He loved creating things for people to use. Every piece had a story. Maria's shop was always full of visitors. Women came to buy baskets and talk. They laughed and shared stories about life. Maria enjoyed these moments with them. Her shop was more than a business. It was a place of friendship. In the evenings, John and Maria sat outside. They watched the sun go down slowly. The sky turned orange and pink. It was their favorite time of day. They talked about the past and the future. They felt grateful for everything they had. One day, a traveler arrived in the village. He carried a heavy bag and looked tired. John invited him to sit and rest. The man thanked him with a smile. Maria brought him water and food. They welcomed him with kindness. The traveler told them about his journey. He had seen many places far away. He described mountains, rivers, and big cities. John and Maria listened with great interest. They imagined the world beyond their village. Their curiosity grew with every word. John asked the traveler many questions. He wanted to know about other cultures. Maria also wanted to learn new things. They had traveled before, but the world was big. There was always more to see. The traveler's stories inspired them. After dinner, the traveler shared a story. It was about a man who followed his dreams. He left his home to see the world. He met kind people and learned new skills. John and Maria felt inspired. They wondered if they should travel again. That night, John lay in bed thinking. He remembered their past adventures. He also thought about their village. They had built a good life there. But part of him still wanted to explore. The thought excited him. The next morning, John spoke to Maria. "What if we travel again?" he asked. Maria smiled and nodded. "We still have time," she said. They decided to make new plans. Their hearts were full of excitement. They saved money for their journey. John made extra furniture to sell. Maria wove more baskets than usual. They worked hard every day. Slowly, their savings grew. The dream was becoming real. One evening, they told the villagers. "We will travel again soon," John said. The villagers were happy for them. They asked about their plans. John and Maria shared their dreams. Everyone wished them well. Tom was excited about their decision. "You taught me to travel," he said. "Now it is your turn again." He promised to take care of the workshop. Sophia promised to run the basket shop. John and Maria felt relieved. Finally, the day arrived. John and Maria packed their bags. They carried only what they needed. The village gathered to say goodbye. "Come back with new stories," they said. John and Maria waved as they left. John and Maria walked away from the village. The road stretched far ahead. The air was fresh and cool. They held hands as they walked. Their adventure had begun again. They felt young and free. The first stop was a nearby town. It was larger than their village. People moved quickly in the busy streets. Shops sold many different things. John and Maria explored with curiosity. Everything was new to them. They visited a bakery with fresh bread. The smell made them hungry. They bought warm rolls and ate happily. Maria loved the soft, sweet taste. "This is delicious," she said. John agreed with a smile. John found a carpenter's workshop. He watched the workers carefully. They used different tools and techniques. John introduced himself and asked questions. The carpenters were happy to share their knowledge. He learned new methods of crafting. Maria visited a market full of colors. Fruits, spices, and fabrics were everywhere. She spoke to a woman selling scarves. The woman showed her how they were made. Maria bought a bright red one. She loved learning about new crafts. They stayed in the town for a week. Every day, they learned something new. They met kind people with interesting stories. It reminded them of their own village. But soon, it was time to move on. Their journey continued. The next stop was a city by the sea. The ocean stretched far and wide. Waves crashed gently on the shore. John and Maria walked along the beach. The air smelled of salt and fresh fish. They felt peaceful by the water. Maria collected small seashells. Each one had a different shape. "These are beautiful," she said. She placed them in her bag. John smiled as he watched her. He loved seeing her happy. They visited the harbor to see the boats. Fishermen brought in their daily catch. Maria talked to a woman selling fish. The woman gave her a recipe. That night, Maria cooked a delicious meal. They enjoyed the taste of the sea. John met a boat builder. He watched him work with wood. The man shaped the boat skillfully. John asked many questions. He loved learning from other craftsmen. The boat builder shared his knowledge. At night, they sat near the sea. The stars shone bright above them. The waves made a soft, calming sound. "This place is special," John said. Maria nodded in agreement. They felt grateful for the journey. They continued traveling to new places. Each stop brought new experiences. They met people with different traditions. They tasted foods they had never tried. Every day was exciting and new. They loved every moment. In one village, they joined a festival. Music filled the air with energy. People danced and sang joyfully. Maria and John joined the dance. They laughed and clapped with everyone. The night was magical. In another town, they visited a school. Children sat in a small classroom. Maria taught them how to weave baskets. John showed them how to carve wood. The children loved learning new things. Their joy was contagious. After many months, they felt tired. "Should we go home?" Maria asked. John thought for a moment. "Yes," he said. "Our village is waiting." They knew it was time to return. They returned to the village one evening. The villagers ran to greet them. "Tell us everything," they said. John and Maria smiled. They had so many stories to share. John woke up early in the morning. The sun was rising slowly. Birds sang outside his window. He stretched and smiled at the new day. Maria was already awake, preparing breakfast. Their home smelled of warm bread. Maria placed food on the wooden table. "Eat before it gets cold," she said. John sat down and took a bite. The bread was soft and delicious. "You always make the best food," he said. Maria smiled at his words. After breakfast, John walked to his workshop. The sound of tools filled the air. He enjoyed working with wood. His hands moved with skill and care. He carved beautiful designs into the furniture. Each piece he made was special. Maria spent the morning at her shop. She arranged baskets neatly on shelves. Customers came to buy her handmade goods. She greeted everyone with a warm smile. People loved talking to her. Her shop was always full of laughter. One afternoon, a traveler arrived in the village. He was tired from his long journey. Maria invited him into her shop. She offered him water and food. "You must rest," she said kindly. The traveler thanked her and sat down. The traveler told stories of distant lands. He spoke of mountains and great rivers. John listened with great interest. He had never been far from home. "The world is big," the traveler said. "You should see it for yourself." That night, John and Maria talked. "Should we travel again?" Maria asked. John thought for a moment. He loved their village, but adventure called. "Maybe it's time to explore," he said. Maria nodded in agreement. They started saving money for their journey. John made extra furniture to sell. Maria wove more baskets than ever before. They worked hard every day. Their dream of traveling grew stronger. Soon, they were ready to leave. The villagers gathered to say goodbye. "Come back with many stories," they said. Tom promised to take care of the workshop. Sophia would manage Maria's shop. John and Maria felt grateful for their friends. They waved as they left the village. Their first stop was a town nearby. It was bigger than their village. The streets were full of people. Shops sold many different things. John and Maria explored with excitement. Everything felt new and interesting. They visited a bakery with fresh bread. The smell filled the air. They bought warm rolls and ate happily. Maria loved the sweet taste. "I could eat this every day," she said. John laughed and agreed with her. John found a carpenter's workshop. He watched the workers carefully. They used different tools and techniques. John introduced himself and asked questions. The carpenters shared their knowledge happily. He learned many new things. Maria visited a market full of colors. Fruits, spices, and fabrics were everywhere. She spoke to a woman selling scarves. The woman showed her how they were made. Maria bought a bright red scarf. She loved learning new crafts. They stayed in the town for a week. Every day brought something new. They met kind people with interesting stories. It reminded them of their own village. But soon, it was time to move on. Their journey had just begun. Their next stop was a city by the sea. The ocean stretched far and wide. Waves crashed gently on the shore. John and Maria walked along the beach. The air smelled of salt and fish. They felt peaceful by the water. Maria collected small seashells. Each one was unique. "These are beautiful," she said. She placed them in her bag. John smiled as he watched her. He loved seeing her happy. They visited the harbor to see boats. Fishermen brought in their daily catch. Maria talked to a woman selling fish. The woman shared a special recipe. That night, Maria cooked a seafood dish. They enjoyed the fresh, delicious meal. John met a boat builder. He watched him shape the wood. The man worked with great skill. John asked many questions. The boat builder shared his techniques. John loved learning from other craftsmen. At night, they sat by the sea. The stars shone brightly above them. The waves made a soothing sound. "This place is special," John said. Maria nodded in agreement. They felt grateful for the journey. They continued traveling to new places. Each stop brought new experiences. They met people with different traditions. They tasted foods they had never tried. Every day was exciting. They loved every moment of it. In one village, they joined a festival. Music filled the air with joy. People danced in colorful clothes. Maria and John joined the dance. They laughed and clapped with everyone. The night was full of magic. In another town, they visited a school. Children sat in a small classroom. Maria taught them how to weave baskets. John showed them how to carve wood. The children loved learning new skills. Their joy was contagious. After many months, they felt tired. "Should we go home?" Maria asked. John thought for a moment. "Yes," he said. "Our village is waiting for us." They knew it was time to return. They arrived home one evening. The air was cool and fresh. The villagers ran to greet them. "Tell us everything," they said. John and Maria smiled warmly. They had so many stories to share. John and Maria stood at the village entrance. Their bags were light but full of memories. The villagers cheered as they returned. The air smelled fresh and familiar. Children ran up to hug them. They were finally home again. They walked through the streets slowly. Every house looked the same. People smiled and waved happily. John felt warmth in his heart. Maria held his hand gently. They had missed their home dearly. Sophia welcomed them with open arms. "Your shop is waiting for you," she said. John looked at his workshop fondly. Maria saw her baskets neatly arranged. Everything felt just as they left it. It was good to be back. Tom ran towards them excitedly. "Tell us about your travels," he said. Villagers gathered around curiously. John and Maria sat by the fire. They shared stories of mountains and oceans. The people listened with wide eyes. John spoke about the faraway city. He described the bright lights at night. Maria talked about the food markets. She explained the different spices and flavors. The villagers dreamed of traveling too. The world sounded so big and wonderful. Days passed, and life returned to normal. John repaired old furniture in his shop. Maria taught basket weaving to young girls. The village was peaceful and quiet. But their hearts still held adventure. They knew more journeys awaited them. One morning, a letter arrived. A merchant from the city wrote it. He wanted John's furniture in his store. Maria was also invited to sell baskets. They read the letter with excitement. A new opportunity had come their way. John and Maria discussed their decision. Traveling again would be exciting. But leaving the village was hard. They loved their peaceful home. Still, they wanted to grow. Their hearts leaned toward adventure. They packed only what was needed. Tom promised to watch the shop. Sophia hugged Maria tightly. The villagers wished them good luck. Once again, John and Maria left. A new chapter was beginning. The city was loud and busy. People rushed through the streets. Shops lined every corner. The air smelled of fresh bread. John and Maria looked around. Everything was so different here. They found a merchant's shop quickly. He welcomed them warmly inside. He admired John's wooden chairs. He praised Maria's fine baskets. "These will sell well," he said. John and Maria felt proud. Their days became busy again. John crafted furniture with care. Maria sold baskets to customers. They met many interesting people. Some were kind and generous. Others were in a constant hurry. One evening, they sat outside. The stars were hidden by lights. The city never truly slept. "Do you miss home?" Maria asked. John nodded with a sigh. But he knew this journey was important. Months passed in the bustling city. Their work became well known. People praised their craftsmanship. Orders increased every week. Money was no longer a worry. But something still felt missing. Maria longed for the quiet village. John missed the simple life. The city was exciting, but exhausting. They talked about returning home. But could they leave everything behind? Their hearts were torn between two worlds. One day, they received surprising news. Tom wrote them a letter. The village had changed a lot. More travelers were arriving daily. Their little home was growing. John and Maria read with amazement. Tom asked them to return. "We need you back," he wrote. The villagers wanted new skills. Young people wished to learn. Maria and John smiled warmly. It was time to go home. They packed their bags once more. The merchant thanked them kindly. He wished them success ahead. "You are always welcome here," he said. John and Maria waved goodbye. The journey home had begun. As they reached the village, excitement grew. Familiar faces greeted them warmly. The village had indeed changed. New houses stood by the river. The market had grown busier. It felt different, but still home. Tom welcomed them with a smile. "Things are not the same," he said. "But you are still needed here." John and Maria nodded happily. They were ready to help. The village was their true home. John reopened his workshop proudly. Young men gathered to learn. He taught them carpentry every day. Maria restarted her weaving classes. Women and girls joined eagerly. The village became livelier than before. Their lives became full once again. They worked with love and patience. The village continued to grow. People brought new ideas home. John and Maria felt inspired. They had found their true purpose. One evening, they sat by the river. The water shimmered under the moonlight. "We have done well," John said. Maria leaned against his shoulder. "Yes, and we are home," she whispered. Their hearts were full of happiness. Years passed, and time moved gently. Their hair turned silver with age. But their spirits remained young. They still taught the villagers. They still shared their stories. Their love for life never faded. One day, a traveler arrived. He had read about them before. He wanted to learn from them. John welcomed him warmly. Maria offered him tea. Another journey was about to begin. John and Maria settled back into village life. Their travels had changed them. They saw their home with new eyes. The village felt smaller than before. Yet, it was filled with warmth. They were happy to be back. John reopened his workshop with excitement. He had learned new techniques. His hands worked with greater skill. Villagers admired his improved carvings. They asked for new designs. John happily crafted each piece. Maria also brought changes to her shop. She introduced new weaving styles. Women gathered to learn from her. They admired the colorful patterns. Maria felt proud of her knowledge. Her shop became even more popular. Their stories fascinated the villagers. Children sat wide-eyed, listening. John described the bustling city streets. Maria spoke of ocean waves. Their adventures inspired everyone. Some even dreamed of traveling. One evening, Tom visited them. "I want to see the world," he said. John smiled at his excitement. "Travel will teach you much," he said. Tom asked for advice. They gladly shared their experiences. Sophia also had news. "The shop grew while you were gone." Maria was proud of her. "You did well, Sophia," she said. The village had changed too. Growth was happening everywhere. John and Maria felt proud. Seasons passed peacefully in the village. John worked tirelessly in his workshop. His carvings became more detailed. People from other villages came. They wanted to buy his work. John's fame spread beyond home. Maria's shop flourished with visitors. Women from neighboring towns arrived. They wanted to learn her craft. Maria taught them with joy. She loved passing on knowledge. The village grew with new skills. One day, a stranger arrived. He wore a long coat. His eyes studied everything carefully. "Who is he?" villagers whispered. John watched him curiously. The man approached Maria's shop. "Your work is beautiful," he said. Maria thanked him kindly. "I buy crafts for traders," he explained. Maria's heart raced with excitement. Could her baskets reach far places? John and Maria discussed the opportunity. "This could change everything," Maria said. John nodded in agreement. They wanted their village to grow. It was a big decision. The future felt uncertain but thrilling. The trader made an offer. "Send me 50 baskets first," he said. Maria worked day and night. Women in the village helped her. They wove faster than ever. The order was finally complete. Weeks passed in nervous anticipation. Then, news arrived from the trader. "People love your work," he wrote. Maria was overjoyed at success. More orders quickly followed. The village buzzed with new energy. John also gained attention. A nobleman visited his shop. He admired John's craftsmanship. "Can you carve something special?" he asked. John agreed with excitement. He wanted to impress him. John worked for days. His hands never rested. He carved a magnificent chair. The nobleman was amazed. "This belongs at a palace," he said. He paid John generously. The village thrived from their success. Travelers arrived more often. New opportunities kept appearing. People found inspiration everywhere. John and Maria felt fulfilled. Their journey had brought unexpected blessings. But change was not always easy. Some villagers felt uneasy. "We liked things simple," they said. John and Maria reassured them. "We still love our home," they promised. The village would always remain special. Tom prepared for his own journey. "I will write letters," he promised. John and Maria felt proud. They remembered their younger days. Now, it was Tom's turn. The cycle of adventure continued. One evening, Maria sat outside. She watched the sunset glow. John joined her in silence. "Do you miss traveling?" she asked. John thought for a moment. "I love where we are now." Life in the village continued peacefully. The seasons changed once again. New visitors came and went. Some stayed and settled. The village grew little by little. The future looked bright for everyone. John and Maria settled back into their village. Life was peaceful once again. The days passed with familiar routines. John crafted wooden furniture with care. Maria wove baskets with patience. Their hearts, however, longed for more. One evening, Tom visited their home. He shared tales of distant lands. His eyes sparkled with excitement. John and Maria listened closely. They missed the thrill of travel. The stories awakened their curiosity again. Sophia arrived with fresh bread. She sat beside Maria, smiling. "You should see the world again," she said. John glanced at Maria, thoughtful. Their village was home. But adventure called. Could they leave once more? That night, Maria lay awake. Memories of past journeys filled her mind. The ocean, the markets, the people. She missed the learning and discovery. John felt the same, restless in bed. The decision was already made. The next morning, they spoke. "We should go," John said. Maria nodded in agreement. Their hearts pounded with excitement. They packed lightly for the road. Their journey would begin again soon. A new adventure awaited them. The villagers gathered to say goodbye. "Bring back more stories." Tom cheered. Sophia hugged Maria warmly. The village supported their decision. John and Maria waved with smiles. They stepped onto the open road. Their first stop was a small town. It bustled with merchants and travelers. Colorful stalls lined the streets. The aroma of fresh food filled the air. Maria admired the handmade textiles. John observed the fine woodwork. They found an inn for the night. The owner, an elderly man, welcomed them. He spoke of the town's history, legends of old kings and warriors. John and Maria listened eagerly. Every place had its own story. Maria met a group of women. They wove intricate baskets with skill. She joined them to learn. They shared techniques and laughter. Maria loved the exchange of knowledge. She created a beautiful new design. John visited a carpenter's shop. The tools were different from his own. He watched the craftsmen at work. Their techniques fascinated him deeply. He learned new ways of carving. Each place offered something valuable. Days passed in the lively town. John and Maria gained new skills. They embraced the culture and people. The world had so much to offer. But they had more to see. It was time to move forward. Their journey led them to mountains. The air grew crisp and fresh. They climbed winding paths together. The view stretched far and wide. Villages nestled in the valleys below. Nature's beauty surrounded them completely. One evening, they found a village. It was quiet and peaceful. Smoke curled from chimney tops. The people welcomed them kindly. They were offered warm food, a place to stay for the night. A local woodworker spoke with John. He carved animals from wood. Each piece was unique and detailed. John admired the craftsmanship greatly. He exchanged ideas with the man. Learning was the heart of travel. Maria joined the village women. They dyed fabric with natural colors. She watched as patterns emerged. The process was slow but beautiful. Maria wanted to try herself. She created a deep red cloth. The villagers invited them to a feast. Long tables were filled with food. People sang and danced joyfully. John and Maria joined the celebration. Laughter echoed under the stars. That night felt magical. As morning came, they moved on. The journey had no final destination. Every place was a chapter. They embraced the unknown ahead. John and Maria held hands. Their adventure was far from over. They reached a town by the river. Boats lined the busy docks. Fishermen called out their catch. The air smelled of fresh fish. Maria watched the market stalls. John observed the boat builders. John approached an old boat maker. The man worked with practiced hands. He shaped the wood with precision. John asked questions about the craft. The boatmaker shared his wisdom. John was eager to learn more. Maria explored the spice market. The scents were rich and exotic. She spoke to a vendor. He described the origins of spices. Maria bought a mix of flavors. She would cook something new tonight. They stayed in a small inn. The owner told tales of sailors, stories of storms and lost treasures. John and Maria listened intently. The sea held many mysteries. Each place had legends to share. A storm arrived the next day. The sky darkened with heavy clouds. Rain poured onto the town. They watched from the inn. Thunder rumbled in the distance. It was both terrifying and beautiful. When the storm cleared, they left. The road led them to plains. Fields stretched for miles ahead. Farmers worked under the sun. They greeted John and Maria. Hospitality was found everywhere. A farmer invited them for dinner. They accepted with warm smiles. The meal was simple and hearty. Fresh bread, cheese, and stew. They shared stories over food. Simple moments brought great joy. The farmer's children were curious. They asked about the world. Maria described the ocean waves. John spoke of mountain peaks. The children listened with wonder. Their eyes sparkled with dreams. Morning arrived with golden light. They bid farewell to the family. The journey continued once more. The road stretched endlessly ahead. They had no set plans. Only the joy of discovery. John and Maria never rushed. Each place had something to offer. They met travelers and villagers. Every person had a story. They learned, shared, and grew. Adventure was a way of life. One evening, they reached a forest. The trees stood tall and ancient. The air smelled of pine. They found shelter near a stream. The night was calm and cool. Stars shone above like lanterns. Maria cooked by the fire. She used the spices she bought. The aroma was rich and warm. John carved a small figure. It was a bird in flight. They enjoyed their simple meal. A traveler arrived at their fire. He asked to sit with them. They welcomed him without hesitation. He was a storyteller by trade. His voice was deep and soothing. They listened to his tales. The traveler spoke of distant lands. Places even they had never seen. Cities of gold and endless deserts. Maria and John imagined them vividly. The world was so vast. There was always more to explore. Morning came with golden light. They shared breakfast with the traveler. Then they all parted ways. John and Maria continued forward. Their journey had no end. Only new paths to follow. They had learned so much. New skills, new flavors, new stories. But most of all, new friendships. The road was their teacher. Experience was their treasure. They were truly alive. Their hearts were filled with gratitude. They had left home with dreams. Now they carried knowledge and memories. Every step had meaning. Every moment was precious. Their adventure would never truly end. John and Maria settled back into village life. They shared stories of their travels with neighbors. People gathered to listen with fascination. Children sat wide-eyed, imagining distant lands. The village felt warmer with their return. Their journey had changed them forever. John resumed work in his workshop. He carved wood with newfound inspiration. Each piece reflected the places they visited. He used techniques he had learned abroad. His furniture carried a sense of adventure. Customers admired the intricate new designs. Maria's shop became livelier than ever. She wove baskets with exotic patterns. She dyed them with colors from afar. Her stories accompanied every item she sold. People loved hearing about foreign markets. Her shop became a window to the world. One evening, Tom visited their home. He wanted to hear more stories. "You have seen so much," he said. "I wish I could travel too." John and Maria exchanged knowing smiles. They understood the call of adventure. "You can, Tom," John encouraged him. "Traveling teaches you more than books." Maria agreed, recalling their first journey. Tom's eyes gleamed with excitement. He dreamed of seeing distant lands. The thought filled him with hope. The next morning, John visited Tom. He found him carving a small figure. "Practicing, I see," John said kindly. Tom nodded, focused on his work. "I want to be ready," he admitted. John saw himself in the young man. Maria also took Tom under her wing. She taught him how to weed baskets. "Every culture has its own style," she said. Tom listened with great interest. His hands moved carefully over the reeds. He wanted to learn everything, As days passed, Tom worked harder. His skill in carving improved greatly. John watched with pride and admiration. "You are ready to travel," he said. Tom's heart pounded with excitement. The world was calling his name. Before leaving, Tom sought advice. "How do I begin my journey?" he asked. Maria smiled and held his hand. "Start with curiosity and kindness," she said. John nodded in agreement. "And always respect different ways of life." Tom packed his belongings with care. He carried tools John had gifted him. Maria gave him a woven satchel. "This will remind you of home," she said. Tom hugged them both tightly. He felt ready for the world. The village gathered to bid farewell. "Bring back stories like John and Maria," they cheered. Tom waved with determination. The road stretched before him invitingly. His adventure was just beginning. He felt the thrill of the unknown. John and Maria watched him go. Memories of their own journey resurfaced. "Do you miss it?" Maria asked softly. John took her hand and smiled. "We lived it fully," he replied. They knew their adventure still continued. With Tom gone, life remained busy. John worked on new commissions. People from nearby towns sought his work. Maria's shop thrived more than ever. Travelers stopped by to hear their stories. Their home remained a place of wonder. Months passed, and a letter arrived. It was from Tom, filled with excitement. He described his travels in detail. He had met craftsmen in distant lands. He learned new techniques and traditions. John and Maria felt immense pride. "He sounds like us," Maria said. John nodded. Reading the letter again. "He found his path," he said. They imagined him walking through bustling markets, his hands shaping wood in foreign workshops. His journey had truly begun. One evening, Maria found John thinking. "What is on your mind?" she asked. "Should we visit Tom?" he wondered aloud. Maria considered the idea carefully. "It would be wonderful," she agreed. Their hearts stirred with possibility. The idea of traveling excited them. They had settled, but never stopped dreaming. The road still called to them. "Let's prepare," John finally decided. Maria smiled with anticipation. A new adventure was waiting ahead. Their journey would be different now. This time, they were not just explorers. They were mentors following their student. Their travels had come full circle. The world still had more to offer, and they were ready to embrace it. John and Maria packed their bags once more. The excitement of travel returned to them. This journey had a new purpose. They were not just wandering travelers. They were seeking their young apprentice. Tom's letters had inspired them deeply. The village gathered to see them off. "Bring back more stories," people cheered. Sophia promised to watch Maria's shop. Tom's younger brother offered to help. John shook hands with his old friends. Maria hugged her neighbors warmly. As they walked down familiar roads, memories surfaced. They recalled their first adventure together. The thrill of the unknown had driven them. Now, they carried wisdom with them. Their journey had meaning beyond exploration. They were searching for Tom. Their first stop was a bustling town. It was filled with traders and craftsmen. John marveled at the woodwork stalls. He studied the techniques used there. Maria admired the woven textiles displayed. The market was alive with culture. They asked around for news of Tom. "A young craftsman?" one merchant asked. "Yes, he carves wood beautifully," Maria said. The merchant nodded with recognition. "I saw him weeks ago," he said. Hope sparked in their hearts. The merchant pointed them towards another town. He was heading west, he explained. John and Maria thanked him gratefully. Their journey now had direction. They followed the path Tom had taken. The road stretched wide before them. Along the way, they met travelers. Some had seen a young woodworker. He was eager to learn, one said. He spoke of his mentors often. Maria felt a swell of pride. Tom was leaving a mark, In a coastal village, they found clues. A fisherman recognized Tom's name. "He helped prepare my boat," he said. His carving skills were impressive. John beamed with pride. Tom had truly embraced craftsmanship. They stayed in the village overnight. The waves crashed against the shore. Maria collected shells by moonlight. "Tom has grown," she mused. John nodded, watching the horizon. Their apprentice was finding his way. The next morning, they set off. The road led into the mountains. The air grew crisp and fresh. John felt strength returning to him. Travel filled him with energy. Maria shared his renewed spirit. A small village appeared in the hills. Smoke rose from chimneys peacefully. They asked around for Tom's whereabouts. An old man pointed them ahead. "He stayed here for a month," he said. A fine young man. Excitement grew as they moved forward. Every clue brought them closer. Maria imagined Tom's reaction. Would he be surprised? Would he be happy? John smiled at her thoughts. They reached a lively marketplace. Children ran between vendor stalls. A wood-carving stand caught John's eye. Beautiful figures were displayed carefully. Each piece carried skilled craftsmanship. Maria's heart beat faster with hope. "Who carved these?" John asked eagerly. The shopkeeper grinned with pride. "A traveler named Tom," he said. "He was here recently." Maria squeezed John's hand. They were finally close. The shopkeeper pointed toward another town. He left for the festival there. John and Maria wasted no time. They hurried toward their next destination. The sun dipped behind rolling hills. Their journey was almost complete. The festival town was filled with life. Music and laughter echoed in streets. Dancers twirled under colorful lanterns. The scent of food filled the air. John and Maria searched eagerly. Tom had to be here. They walked through busy stalls. Maria spotted a familiar satchel. Her heart leapt with recognition. "Tom," she called out excitedly. A young man turned in surprise. His eyes widened with shock. "Maria." "John." Tom exclaimed joyfully. He rushed forward and embraced them. His hands were rough from work. His smile radiated pure happiness. The reunion was filled with warmth. They had finally found him. John studied Tom with pride. He had grown stronger and wiser. His hands bore the marks of dedication. His eyes shone with experience. Maria noticed his confidence. He had truly become his own person. They sat by a fire together. Tom shared stories of his travels. He had met many craftsmen. He had learned new techniques. He had taught others in return. His journey had been incredible. John and Maria listened closely. Every story made them prouder. "You have found your path," John said. Tom nodded with a smile. "Because of you both," he replied. Gratitude filled his voice. They spent days at the festival. Together, they explored and celebrated. Tom introduced them to new friends. Maria taught locals her weaving skills. John exchanged knowledge with carpenters. Their journey felt whole again. One evening, Tom made an announcement. "I am ready to come home," he said. John and Maria exchanged a glance. Their hearts swelled with emotion. "Then let's go together," Maria said. Their journey had come full circle. The road back felt different. This time, they walked alongside Tom. He carried new wisdom with him. The village waited eagerly for their return. Their adventure was not an ending. It was a new beginning. When they arrived, bells rang joyfully. The villagers cheered for their return. Sophia and Tom's brother welcomed them. "Tell us everything," people cried excitedly. John and Maria smiled warmly. Tom had his own stories now. The village had changed too. New shops had opened in their absence. Young apprentices learned new crafts. Inspiration had spread through the community. John felt deep satisfaction. Their travels had left a legacy. Tom reopened the workshop proudly. His hands moved with newfound skill. People admired his unique carvings. Maria's shop thrived as well. The village had grown with them. Their home was richer than before. One evening, they sat outside together. The sunset painted the sky beautifully. The air was filled with peace. "Will we travel again?" Maria wondered. John smiled thoughtfully. "Someday, perhaps," he said. For now, they were home. Their hearts carried the journey within. The village felt warmer than ever. Tom's journey had become theirs too. The adventure had shaped them all. And life was still unfolding. The seasons changed as life continued. Tom worked hard in the workshop. His hands shaped wood with skill. Villagers admired his growing talent. John watched with pride daily. Maria's shop flourished with new designs. One morning, Tom had an idea. "Let's teach others our crafts," he said. John and Maria exchanged thoughtful glances. The idea excited them deeply. Their knowledge could help many. A school could change lives. The village elders approved the plan. "This will bring prosperity," they said. Word spread quickly through the village. Young apprentices eagerly signed up. John built benches for students. Maria gathered supplies for weaving lessons. Tom designed a small classroom. The walls smelled of fresh wood. Sunlight streamed through wide windows. A chalkboard hung near the entrance. The room felt welcoming and warm. It was a place of learning. The first students arrived nervously. Some had never held tools before. John guided them with patience. "Every mistake teaches something new," he said. Maria showed them weaving techniques. Their hands slowly grew confident. Tom taught the most eager learners. He demonstrated carving with precision. His passion inspired the young apprentices. They watched his movements carefully. Each day, their skills improved. The village's future looked brighter. More people joined from neighboring villages. Word of the school spread far. Craftsmen visited to share knowledge. Each brought something new to teach. John welcomed their different techniques. It was a place of collaboration. Maria introduced dyeing techniques to weaving. She taught patterns from other regions. Her baskets became more beautiful. Customers traveled from distant villages. She shared her knowledge freely. Creativity filled the air daily. One evening, John reflected deeply. "This school is our greatest work," he said. Maria smiled in agreement. Their travels had led here. They were shaping the next generation. The thought warmed their hearts. The school grew beyond expectations. Students built new workshops together. More tools were needed quickly. John and Tom made wooden shelves. Maria organized weaving stations efficiently. Everything ran smoothly with teamwork. A festival was planned for students. They would showcase their work. Excitement buzzed through the village. Banners were hung along streets. Musicians prepared lively performances. The day would be unforgettable. On the festival morning, the village shone. Handmade decorations covered every stall. The air smelled of fresh bread. Families arrived in colorful clothing. Students proudly displayed their crafts. Their hard work was visible. John admired beautifully carved furniture. Tom's students had learned well. Maria's weaving apprentices impressed visitors. Their baskets displayed intricate designs. Customers eagerly purchased their work. The festival was a great success. A merchant from the city arrived. He examined the crafts carefully. "These should be sold beyond here," he said. He proposed a trade agreement. The village could reach distant markets. Everyone celebrated this opportunity. John, Maria, and Tom discussed carefully. "This could change everything," Tom said. John agreed after deep thought. "We must protect our traditions," Maria added. They ensured quality remained high. Their village had something special. Soon, their crafts reached distant towns. More people wanted to learn. The school expanded its classrooms. Apprentices became skilled teachers. The village economy grew stronger. The future looked more promising than ever. One evening, Maria watched the sunset. "Do you miss traveling?" she asked. John thought for a moment. "Sometimes," he admitted with a smile. Tom listened and laughed. Perhaps another adventure soon. The village had become a new journey. Their hands had built something lasting. Young craftsmen carried their legacy forward. John and Maria felt fulfilled. Tom was their greatest success. The adventure was never truly over.